How do you build an Achilles strong and mobile enough to be able to handle a lot of impact? You want to master these 5 principles. Develop the front, back, work plyometrics, isometrics, and mobility. But this is how you build a strong and resilient Achilles for all areas of athletic ability. So let's break down the Achilles real quick. One of the biggest tendons in the body, and it's very complex because it attaches to all calf muscles and the tibialis and the fascia of the foot. So we want to develop the front side first. We work the tibialis raise using a tib bar. If you have one, it is ideal to get one. If you can't, using a tib bar, getting a stretch, flexing the calves, and then coming up and flexing the tibs. Just like this. This movement is super important for ankle mobility, as well as bulletproofing the front side of the knee to handle a lot of impact. It's going to help the Achilles too, because it's going to take a lot of pressure off of it when you go forwards, or when you're planting or jumping, whatever it may be. Next, we want to develop the back of the lower leg. 2 movements to do so are the bent knee calf raise and the standing calf raise. Bent knee calf raise is going to work this muscle called the soleus, this side muscle on the lower leg. The Achilles attaches both to the soleus and the gastroc. So that's why we're combining these movements together, right? Getting the weight here, getting knee over toe, trying to get the heel to touch the ground, but not quite. You want to flex this tibialis right here, push down, more knee over toe, get a stretch in the Achilles, and then flex all the way up. Give it a couple seconds, go back down. Try to get the heel to the ground, right? You're trying to, but if you already have the heel to the ground, scoot back more. You don't want to have the heel touching the ground, but you want to try to get it down there to get more mobility in the Achilles. Come up all the way, back down. What you want to work on, why we focus on this so much, is because 1, the soleus directly correlates to speed. So when we're fully focusing on propelling forward, this is the muscle that we're using, right? So we want to master the calf raise in a bent knee position. Once we are there, you can then go on to the standing calf raise using any type of step, box, whatever you have, or a slant, okay? Getting a stretch in this bottom position, keeping the quad flexed, coming up fully, getting that deep calf raise, and then all the way down, actually flexing that tibialis, same thing, but we're keeping the leg straight, coming up again, calf raise, back down to that stretch position. It's so crucial that you work full range of motion with the calf because of how big the Achilles is. If we're only working short range movements, we are going to have flare-ups, we are going to have certain Achilles pain, right? And so we want to minimize that just by working and addressing all areas, or just by working full ranges of motion to not have any weak links, right? Because if we are constantly running or jumping or playing our sport and we have tightness or weakness or tweakiness or soreness in this area, it is only because we have not worked full range of motion. So this is why we're doing that. Next thing we want to work on is mini plyometrics. We can do many different variations of this. Starting just by getting stimulus and blood flow to the tendons around the ankle will protect the Achilles. So starting with simple plyometrics like ankle hops, not getting the heels to touch the ground, and just repping here, right? Going back and forth. I like to play around with this way, back and forth, working single leg, just practicing all areas of the Achilles to make sure that we don't have any tweaks or different areas that we feel as though we might be vulnerable in if we were to get into playing sports. So working on those plyometrics, we can then get into more 2 up, 1 down jumps. So working full 100% jump and then landing on one leg. So we're here, jump, and then land on one leg. But you want to focus on not slamming heel into the ground. So when I jump up, I'm here, jump, land. And I'm not slamming heel into ground. I may touch it, but I'm trying to focus on landing on ball of foot to fire the tendons around the ankle to protect the Achilles and actually develop strength there. Those are 2 plyometrics to work on. Then we want to move to isos. One of my favorite isometrics that I do straight after I squat with my athletes is a bent knee calf raise holding the top position. Now, you can do this with weight or without weight. I'll start without weight and go to weight. But you want to get into that bent knee calf raise, come up, get as much knee bend as possible and as high calf raise as possible. You should already see my leg is shaking. The second you get into it, the more knee bend you get, it's not only gonna help the ankle and the Achilles, but it's also gonna develop patellar tendon strength. As you see, my leg's already shaking. Okay, I'll try the other side now. You see definitely a difference. I'm already shaking on this leg. Right, and I'm trying to fully flex this Achilles. You can obviously use assistance. We could hold both of these for a minute. Is a great standard to be at. Then you could also add load and hold it in your hand. Bent knee, calf raise, hold. As long as you can for a minute. Right, just like that. Lastly, we want to work on mobility. Now, I can't stress this enough. You want to get comfortable in the positions where you might tear or mess up your ankle or Achilles. Okay, so if we are in a vulnerable position or getting too much knee over toe and we get a snap in the Achilles, well, it's only because we haven't trained that range of motion. So what are some examples of getting better with the mobility? I'm gonna show you a few different ones. So the ideal way, probably take shoes off, big toe stretch. So we're getting here on the big toes, sitting back on our heels, getting a deep stretch in the big toe. All right, we wanna be comfortable here. If this is too much, start here and progress, trying to press into the ground. Getting deeper, right, until you can get to here, being comfortable on the big toe. What this is gonna do is open up the fascia of the foot, which is directly connected to the Achilles at the bottom of the heel. Then we wanna get into a tib stretch. Well, first, holding the big toe stretch for a minute is pretty solid. Then we wanna get into the tib stretch. Relaxing, okay, still sitting on the heels, but then opening up the tibialis muscle right here. So this tib stretch, very important to get into. Obviously, if you're still here and you have tightness in the quad, sit here or here, then work your way back until you can get to freak standards, getting deeper and being comfortable there, just opening up the joint itself. Lastly, we want to work ankle rolls, okay? So we're here, bend the knees, turn, get on to both ends of the ankle, and come back. Both ends of the ankle, then come back. You can use assistance to help you. So let's say I'm here, one end of the ankle, come back. Other end, come back. This is gonna work and prevent ankle sprains and Achilles injuries. Last thing, if that's a little bit too advanced or you think you can't get into those areas, just relax with the foot on a bench and then flex to one side, getting inversion for a minute, eversion for a minute. Just working both sides of this. What all these movements are gonna do is prevent the Achilles and the ankle against any type of injury or vulnerable position you put it in. So if I'm a basketball player and I get my ankle shattered, well, if I'm working that range of motion, I'm gonna be comfortable there and I'm not gonna have a tweak or sprain or whatever it is. If I'm trying to cut somebody, cut or break, and I get the Achilles rupture because I'm not strong in this knee over toe position, well, that's the reason for it. We're not working on those types of movements. So these 5 areas, right? Front, back, plyometric, isometric, and mobility are the 5 key areas you want to address to make sure that you have strong and stable ankles and protect your Achilles from any vulnerable positions it may be in. Now, if you want to see how to program all of these movements and focus a program where you develop your entire body but focus on developing strong and stable ankles, hop in Locked In Athletes. I'll leave the link below. It is a school community that I've built for athletes to understand training, have your strength coach, speed coach, position coach, and PT in one place, and you get coached by professional coaches like myself to make sure that you're progressing as an athlete. Stay locked in.